darlings. So we had a long weekend this last weekend, and I decided, because I think I had stopped off at my local used bookstore and picked up this book about historical London fashion, that I was going to officially dust off the sewing machine and learn how to sew. Now, I've made 2 small projects in the past, but I have not created an item of clothing from scratch since I was about 12 years old in home ec class. And I remember I made a pair of shorts. I loved them. But I haven't made anything since then. And I decided that since I had some time this long weekend, it was the time. So I found a vintage pattern that I wanted to try out because I thought it would be fun. There are problems involved with that. I headed over to Scrap to get some really inexpensive fabric, because if I royally mess this up, I didn't want to mess up, some really nice expensive fabric. And I sort of got to work. I learned a lot. I've also become pretty obsessed with the concept that I might become a sewist. And I just really had a really, really good time. So join me as I really learn how to do this, learn some lessons, and have a really good time creating myself something. And yeah, of course I'll show you how it came out. Are you ready? Let's go. So welcome. I am so excited to get this started. I couldn't even wait to change when I got home from the gym. So I grabbed this vintage pattern. It's so simple, right? Looks simple, looks easy. Thought it was a great starter project. So I ended up getting this fabric pretty crazy inexpensively, because I figured that was the smartest thing to do. And I got double the amount that I needed, just in case I messed up royally. But I followed all the directions. This pattern was already pre-cut. But here we go. We're just going to get started. I jumped right in, cut all my little notches, got it all cut out. All right, the first sort of fit test. I think I was shocked that this was actually my size and seemed to be fitting. So step 2, according to the instructions, which I was actually following, was to deal with the darts. There's a couple of darts. There's some in the back. There's 2 in the front at the bust area. It said to use chalk, and I did try that at first, and then I realized I had disappearing ink pen from the embroidery that I do, and I realized that was just going to be so much easier, faster, better to see on this fabric. This fabric is sort of busy and dark, and it really, really worked. So I got all those darts lined up and things pinned together and ready to roll. I did have somewhere I needed to be, so I had to kind of put this away for this day, and I had to go on to a day 2, where again I started with pinning all of the pieces to get ready for some actual sewing on this day. Look at those darts, I'm so proud of them. The instructions that came with my pattern kept referring to this Simplicity sewing booklet, which was really interesting. It said, it just at the end of the instructions, like, for more detail, see the Simplicity sewing book. And I had genuinely just picked this up, just randomly, when I'd gone to the Creative Reuse store to get my sewing supplies. I had just seen it on a shelf and grabbed it, not knowing that it was going to be part of the project I was doing. So it was really cool for me to have that. It was genuinely really helpful. after pinning everything, got to make sure it's fitting. So we're doing like the kind of whole pinned together fit check. I don't have a mannequin, but I do have a body that is the right size, so I thought I'd start there. And then I ironed all my seams to get prepared for sewing. And here we go. Me versus machine. Ready to roll. I really was so excited about this. Pretty quickly in, I was having bobbin problems. I don't know if it was because it was two sort of different strengths of thread or just that the machine was a little rusty. I'm not sure, but things were getting tangled. Things were sort of bunching up and causing problems, and I just had to get in there and figure it out. I know now that newer machines have sort of a top loading thing, and this machine is from 1971, and you got to squeeze your little fingers in and get it there underneath the needle. It is a little annoying, but I figured it out. We got all re-threaded, and we went on our merry way. All the darting sewed up. It was a little difficult for me to see because, again, this fabric is dark and it is patterned, but somehow, magic of magics, it actually all worked out and I did it correctly, and I was so genuinely proud of myself. I don't think I realized that patterns came with so many instructions, and I was keen to read them, which is not normally my jam, but I very much wanted to make sure I was doing this right, so I kept referring to the instructions, and a lot of the terminology is new for me, so I just had to learn as I went along. So here we go. I believe this is, me trying to install the zipper for the first time. I realized just how much ironing there is in sewing. I feel like no one warned me about this. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I should have thought about it, but for some reason, I did not think about how much ironing was in sewing. So I decided to use a really cheap zipper that I got at the discount fabric outlet. I had bought a really nice one, but it seemed so thick for this really lightweight fabric, and I'd grabbed a few just really, really, really inexpensive. I think these were like $0.25 a piece. I should have thought about why they were only $0.25 a piece. I will have some problems upcoming with this, but my blissful self at this point is just really proud that I'm figuring out how to put the zipper in. Just using the regular foot because I did not realize until much too late that my machine actually has a zipper foot. It was in a little hidden compartment. So for the next project, I will definitely be busting out and figuring out how to use that zipper foot. Reading those instructions, making sure we get those shoulder seams all done correctly. also having to learn how pattern instructions work was a thing, because you do have to skip around depending on what view you're making, and it was actually really interesting. So here I am back to pinning this together and getting this thing all sewn up. It seems down so much ironing. I don't know why I didn't think about it. Here I am just rolling under and ironing the hem seam on the sleeves. Now this pattern was supposed to have some interfacing and a much more involved, complicated sleeve, but the person who used this pattern before me had decided to scrap that, and they did not include those patterns. And I figured for this learning project that was fine. I could just do a simple hem and the sleeve, and I could figure out how to do an interlocking sleeve at a later date. Getting the hem done on the bottom. I can see the finish line. I was so excited to get to this point. Just a simple sort of double folded hem. Nothing too fancy here. At this point, I'm clipping up all these threads. I'm basically done for the day. I've got, for all intents and purposes, a completed dress. Alright, so for the final day, final try on. Neck's a little high, but everything's looking pretty good. So got right back into it. Entire time I was doing this, I kept thinking, like, there's no way the bobbin can just keep giving me thread. Like, it gotta run out at some point. And I just kept thinking that. And then, yep, here we go. Bobbin, which shouldn't be a big problem, but I have never dealt with a bobbin before. I have never threaded a bobbin. I had to bust out the manual for the machine and really figure out how to thread a bobbin and do all the things, which turned out not too difficult. But our problems are not over. Everything was seeming like it was probably going okay, but the machine decided to eat my dress. I don't know what this was about. So I reset it, tried it out on some scrap fabric, got it all grooving and moving. All right, good to go. But right about here is where I realized that the cheap zipper was cheap for a reason, and it has slipped the track. So I hit the internet, learned how to fix it, realized I should have used this nicer, more expensive zipper, but decided that I was just going to hand sew the rest of the zipper to get it fixed and set in place. While I was doing this, I actually made a stupid mistake and actually unzipped the zipper again and had to restart over this entire process. So I had to pull out the stitches I had just done and start over. But we finally got it finished. Did our final bit of ironing of these seams. We're ready for the reveal. So here is the final dress. I love it. I think it is so cute. The darting, I can't believe I got that correct the first time. Are there problems with it? Obviously. The neckline, just the way I'm shaped, I guess, didn't quite fit the pattern, so I need to put some little darts, I think, in the back. But that's kind of the last thing that needs to get done. This is officially finished. I could wear it as is. But I am so proud of myself for making something that I could absolutely wear out of the house if I needed to. And I genuinely really love it. Love this pattern. Love the cut of this little shift. It's just so cute. And look at my little paisleys. Yeah, don't look too close because then you'll see all the problems. But here's what I've learned throughout doing this process. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And we're talking broken threads, bobbins running out, machine sort of breaking. The pattern that I picked out, the vintage pattern, so cute, love it. But the person who had it before me, she didn't include a bunch of the pieces. So this dress isn't exactly the same as the pattern because there was no facing pieces which were part of the pattern. But she included a Peter Pan collar, which I see the vision. So I didn't do it because I wanted to follow the pattern as closely as possible. So that's a thing, and I think that's a vintage pattern problem, right? But I imagine lots of patterns have problems. So anything that can go wrong will go wrong, A. B, be careful with your patterns. C, seam ripper, your best friend. Absolute best friend. Lucky for me, I have several. And then D, I suppose, is that you better be prepared with patience and problem-solving skills. You're going to need both of them throughout the entire process. But all of that to say, I genuinely really loved the process of learning how to do this, and I immediately, before I'd even finished this one, like I said, I still have to do the neckline, I wanted to do more things. I picked up a few other vintage patterns while I was at my creative reuse store called Scrap. I want to see if they're complete and if I can make some things out of them. I'm really excited to do so. Again, I picked up a bunch of fabric as well, so I'm not going to feel bad if I make a major mistake, which I'm sure I will. For, you know, experienced sewists, I'm sure this dress is a freaking disaster. But it's my first, you know, real learning experience in many, many, many moons, and I love it. I'm gonna continue to wear it probably as like a dress around the house, and I am gonna continue to sew things. I'm pretty certain about that. This is not gonna become a sewing channel. I'm still very much on my year of rediscovering creativity in lots of different forms, so I'm excited to continue to do that. But I personally, in my time, am going to be doing more sewing projects, and I'm really excited to do that. So I learned a lot. This is my learning garment. I'll probably keep it for ages because it'll be sentimentally attached to it. I absolutely love it. I had such a great time. Thanks for joining me on this very manic, haphazard sewing adventure. Stay tuned. Next week we're gonna have something completely different because, again, I'm trying to really engage with all sorts of different forms of creativity. But I'm so proud of this, and I'm proud of me for doing this because patience, not my strong suit. Following directions, also not a strong suit. But I did both of those things, and now I have something I'm really proud of and really love. So more of that, please. All right, until next time, stay interested, stay creative, stay sewing. and I'll see you then.